Thank you, Mr. Chair, and also Chairman Sessions. Auditing the Department of Defense is an incredibly important bipartisan priority. The Department's financial management has been on the Government Accountability Office high-risk list since 1995, and it goes without saying that our problems are bigger than any single administration, president, or party when it comes to auditing. Now, auditing an agency as large as DOD is a complex and significant challenge, and it's critical that we work together to make this goal possible. The department's spending makes up about half of the federal government's discretionary spending. Its physical assets comprise almost 68% of the federal government's physical assets. Now, DOD's financial management faces longstanding issues, including ineffective processes, systems, and controls, incomplete corrective action plans, and the need for more effective monitoring and reporting. These longstanding issues limit the ability to identify vulnerabilities and miss out on ways to improve operations and ultimately save taxpayer money. Now, as the recent 60 Minutes segment on DOD price gouging pointed out, without greater visibility and accuracy, DOD contractors can use their status as uniquely positioned sole source suppliers to overcharge the American public or to profit inappropriately from our military. Now, actions like these divert fundings from other critical priorities, and we should not allow for it. Now, DOD should not get a free pass from the law, especially when other agencies that invest in priorities like healthcare, education, climate change, or economic growth are under high scrutiny and take important and difficult steps to comply with statutory auditing requirements. Now, we should welcome a bipartisan conversation as we make sure that our military, which is the most powerful in history and in the world, becomes a more effective and transparent institution. However, I also need to address a deeply concerning issue. Now, some of my colleagues in the majority, including members of this committee, have continued to push a narrative that our aid to Ukraine, in particular, is not properly overseen or is improperly used. Now, Republican leadership is allowing amendments to end and to prohibit aid to Ukraine. This should not be supported by the American public. Now, some have even said on this committee that there's no real oversight of Ukraine aid. I believe this is a false narrative, and you don't have to just take my word for it. Here's what Republican Foreign Affairs Committee ranking member Senator John Risch said this week. He said that he's seen firsthand that the idea that equipment is ending up in the wrong hands is, and I'll quote him, all baloney, and that, quote, stuff is going where it's supposed to go, and it's going quickly, end quote. He pointed out that the last Ukraine supplemental had 52 separate oversight provisions, saying, and again I quote him, that we've got really, really strong oversight, and I'll end quote. To further dispel this anti-Ukrainian myth, I am sure that the Inspectors General for the Department of Defense, Department of State, and USAID would be happy to brief this committee on the whole of government oversight efforts for Ukraine aid, including the 20 government agencies and hundreds of staff working on current and planning for future oversight projects. I hope to hear more about that important work and look for areas where we can hold agencies appropriately accountable. Now, thanks to President Biden, we provided Ukraine with the tools to track defensive equipment, which they are using, even as our country fights for its survival. I am disappointed, however, that the majority decided to move forward with this hearing without the Department of Defense Controller, who is best equipped to provide full answers to Congress on today's topic, including the oversight of Ukraine aid. Our fight in Ukraine is a fight for democracy and for the global system of trade, peace, and the rule of law that we all rely on. America is stronger with our allies and partners, not when we are isolated and weak. We need to stand up to global authoritarians like Putin, who has attacked our democracy, who has threatened our allies, and who started a criminal and unprovoked war of aggression. And we should not accept any effort to distort the truth about our aid to Ukraine. Now, I look forward to a productive conversation about building a better and stronger DOD, to cracking down on corruption and contracting, and to developing a more accountable government. I want to thank our witnesses for being here today, and Mr. Chairman, I yield back.